This is the moment everything went wrong. Something attacked us, something we couldn't see, and it wasn't going to let us leave. We've investigated over 200 haunted locations across the country. We thought we'd seen everything, but this place, this farmhouse in rural Iowa, it's different. 3 people have died here. Every investigator who's come has left within hours, refusing to talk about what they experienced. We decided to stay the entire night. It was the worst decision we ever made.
The drive through rural Iowa felt endless. Cornfields stretched to the horizon, broken only by the occasional abandoned barn. In the back seat, Charles shuffled through his research papers, his hands trembling slightly. "You need to hear this," he said, his voice tight. 3 deaths, 1923, 1947, 1983, all in October, all alone in that house, and all 3 claimed to hear voices calling their names weeks before they died. I glanced at him in the rearview mirror. "Claimed? You mean people said they heard voices?" "No, Val, I mean they documented it. Journals, letters to family. One woman recorded audio trying to prove she wasn't crazy." Charles paused. The tape was found next to her body. Starling, sitting beside me, went pale. She'd been quiet since we left the motel, her fingers pressed against the window like she was trying to feel something through the glass. Aurelio adjusted his camera rig. "What killed them?" "That's the thing. No one knows. No signs of violence, no medical explanation. They just died, terrified. Locals call it the Doorway Farm," he continued, flipping pages. "Native Americans warned settlers about this land, said it was a thin place where the barrier between worlds was weak. The original owner ignored them. Big mistake. Then we saw it. The farmhouse rose from the flat landscape like a tombstone, 2 stories of rotting wood and shattered windows that seemed to watch us approach. Even from half a mile away, something felt wrong. The air looked heavier around it, like reality bent near its walls. "I don't want to go in there," Starling whispered. "Something's very wrong. I can feel it from here. It's aware of us." I pulled the car to a stop at the property line. The sun was already sinking, painting the sky blood orange. "We've done this 200 times, Star. Let's make it 201. "Val, I'm serious. This isn't like the others. It feels—" "Come on, feels what? Come on, we're here. Equipment's loaded. We've got 6 hours of daylight left. Well, maybe 3 now." By the time we reached the basement window, the sun had dropped below the horizon. The temperature fell 20 degrees in minutes. Aurelio went first, dropping into darkness with a grunt. Then Charles, then Starling, who hesitated at the edge. "Val, please, we can leave right now. We can—" "I'm going in," I said. "You can wait in the car if you want." She stared at me, hurt flashing across her face. Then she dropped through the window. I was about to follow when I heard it, a sound from inside the house, not from where my team had just entered, from somewhere deep within. It sounded like a door closing, but we were the only ones here. I dropped through the window into absolute darkness. My flashlight flickered once, twice, then died completely. And from somewhere in that darkness, I heard breathing that wasn't any of ours.
My flashlight came back on as suddenly as it died. The basement was empty except for us. Cold concrete, old farming equipment, and the smell of earth and decay. "Everyone okay?" I called out. 3 flashlights clicked on. 3 voices confirmed. We were alone. We set up equipment methodically. Aurelio positioned cameras in each corner. Charles placed EMF detectors throughout the space. Starling stood motionless in the center, eyes closed, reading the energy. I recorded baseline readings, temperature, electromagnetic fields, ambient sound. Everything was normal for exactly 27 minutes. Then every piece of equipment died at once. cameras, audio recorders, EMF detectors, even our flashlights. Total darkness for 3 seconds that felt like hours. When the equipment flickered back on, static screamed from every speaker, and through that static, clear as day, came my voice. "Help me! It won't let me leave!" Charles dropped his notebook. "What the hell was that?" "That was Val's voice," Aurelio said, fumbling with his recorder. "But Val's right here." I felt ice in my veins. "Play it back." Aurelio's hands shook as he rewound the file. There it was again, my voice, desperate and terrified. "Help me! It won't let me leave!" "Check the timestamp," Starling whispered. Aurelio's face went white. That's impossible." "What?" I moved closer. "It says 11:47 p.m. He showed me the screen. "Val, it's 8:47 right now. This was recorded 3 hours from now." The room went silent, except for our breathing. "Corrupted file," I said, but my voice cracked. "Has to be, or someone's messing with us." "Who?" Charles spun around, his flashlight cutting through the darkness. "Who's here? We checked." "This isn't residual energy," Starling said, backing toward the window we'd entered through. "This isn't a haunting. This is something else. Something that knows we're here. Something that can manipulate time." Her voice rose. "We need to leave. Now. Right now." "No." I grabbed my camera. "Are you hearing this? We have evidence of something recording the future. Do you understand what this means?" "It means we're in danger," Starling shouted. "Val, please." This could be the evidence we've been looking for, the thing that proves everything. I was already moving deeper into the basement, toward the stairs leading up. We stay, we document, every light went out again. In the darkness, I heard footsteps on the floor above us, slow, deliberate, moving toward the basement stairs. "Val?" Aurelio's voice was barely a whisper. "We're in the basement. Who's walking upstairs?" The footsteps stopped directly above us. Then the door at the top of the basement stairs, the door we hadn't opened yet, slowly creaked open. And from my own recorder, my voice played again. "Help me! It won't let me leave!" But this time, it wasn't coming from the speaker. It was coming from upstairs.
We climbed those stairs like men walking to the gallows. Every step groaned under our weight. At the top, the door stood open, revealing a hallway that stretched into darkness. The kitchen was first. I pushed the door open and bang, bang, bang! Every cabinet door flew open at once, slamming against their frames. We all jumped back. "Jesus Christ!" Charles breathed. Then the dishes started moving, plates sliding across counters, cups arranging themselves in a circle on the floor, a perfect ritual pattern. "We're leaving," Starling said. "Val, we're leaving right now." But I was already moving to the living room. The rocking chair was moving, back and forth, like someone had just stood up. Then we heard it, children's laughter, high and sweet, coming from the empty chair. "There are no children," Aurelio whispered, his camera shaking. "Val, there are no children here." I shined my light on the walls. Family photographs hung in crooked frames. Every single face had been scratched out, except the eyes. Dozens of eyes staring at us from ruined photographs. The bathroom was worse. As soon as we entered, condensation began forming on the mirror, letters appearing one by one, written by an invisible hand. October 13th. Starling grabbed my arm, her nails digging in. "It's not haunted by who died here. It's haunted by what killed them. Can't you feel it? This thing is ancient. It's hungry, and it's been waiting." Charles fumbled with his notebook, pages scattering. Oh my God, today is October 13th. I didn't even think. We came on the anniversary. "Anniversary of what?" I demanded. "The deaths. All 3 deaths happened on October 13th. A door slammed somewhere upstairs, then another, like dominoes falling. We found ourselves in the mastered bedroom. The owner's clothes were laid out on the bed, shirt, pants, shoes, arranged like a body. and in the mattress a deep indentation as if someone had been lying there moments ago. The smell hit us then, sulfur and decay, so thick I could taste it. But there was nothing, no source, just that overwhelming stench of death. "Val," Aurelio said, his voice strange, "you need to see this." He turned his camera screen toward me. Footage from downstairs, a shadow figure standing in the kitchen doorway. He swiped to the next camera, the same figure in the living room, next the bathroom, next the hallway. These were all taken at the exact same time, 11:52 p.m. I checked my watch, 9:15 p.m. That's impossible. It can't be in multiple places at once. It can't. All our cameras clicked off simultaneously. When they flickered back on, Aurelio gasped and dropped his equipment. On every screen, the same image, a shadow figure standing directly behind us. We spun around. The bedroom was empty, but in the mirror across the room, we could see it, standing between Charles and Starling, its head tilted, watching us through the reflection. And when we looked at where it should be standing, there was nothing there.
We ran, down the hallway, down the stairs, anywhere but that bedroom. Charles crashed into collapsed shelving in the corner, and it fell away, revealing another door. A basement door. "There's a second basement?" Aurelio said. The door opened with a scream of rusted hinges. Stone steps descended into absolute blackness. The temperature dropped so fast I could see my breath, 30 degrees in seconds. "No," Starling said. "No, we're not going down there." But I was already descending. The walls were covered in scratches, hundreds of them, thousands, tally marks carved deep into stone, symbols I didn't recognize, and names, so many names scratched over and over. "These are ritual symbols," Charles said, his voice shaking. "Blood magic, summoning, offering." His flashlight traced the walls. "My God, Val, this is a sacrifice chamber." In the corner, almost hidden by decades of dirt, I found a leather journal. The pages were brittle, but the ink was still legible. The owner's handwriting deteriorated with each entry, neat script becoming frantic scrawl. I read aloud. "The entity promises eternal life for those who feed it. October 13th, the veil is thinnest. I will open the door. Others must pass through." "Keep reading," Charles urged. "I completed the ritual tonight. I am the doorway now. Anyone who enters seeking the dead will become the offering. Their fear, their energy, it feeds, and when it's strong enough, I will return." The final entry was just 2 words, written over and over. "They come, they come, they come." "Every investigator," Starling whispered, "everyone who came here looking for ghosts. They weren't investigating a haunting, they were feeding it." "We're feeding it right now," Charles said. "Our fear, our presence, we're making it stronger." Aurelio kicked at the dirt floor, and his boot caught on something. He knelt, brushing away decades of accumulated earth. Beneath was a sigil, carved into the stone floor, inlaid with what looked like rust. But it wasn't rust. It was blood. Fresh blood. "That's impossible," I said. "This place has been abandoned for—" The sigil began to glow. Faint at first, then brighter, pulsing like a heartbeat. "Val, we need to document everything. This proves—" Crash! Above us, something massive had fallen or been thrown. The entire house shook, dust raining from the ceiling. Was someone else up there? Did someone else come in? We stood frozen, listening. Footsteps, multiple footsteps, walking across the first floor, back and forth, back and forth. But we'd checked every room. We were alone. "That's not possible," Charles said. The footsteps stopped directly above us. Then we heard the voices,
3 distinct voices speaking in unison, words we couldn't understand, growing louder, growing closer, moving toward the basement stairs. "Go!" I screamed. We raced up the steps. I was last, and as I reached the top, I looked back. At the bottom of the stairs, standing in the glow of that pulsing sigil, were 3 figures, and they all had my face.
We tore through the first floor looking for what had crashed. Nothing. Every object was exactly where we'd left it. No fallen furniture, no broken windows, nothing moved. "This doesn't make sense," I said, my flashlight sweeping corners. "Something that loud." "Val," Starling's voice was dead. "Nothing here makes sense. Stop pretending it does." Aurelio stood in the hallway, reviewing footage on his camera. "I'm checking the timestamp on the crash. Maybe we can—" He never finished. Something invisible grabbed him and hurled him across the hallway. His body slammed into the wall 10 feet away with a sickening crack. He crumpled to the floor. "Aurelio!" We rushed to him. He was gasping, eyes wide with shock. "Something grabbed me. I felt hands, cold and strong. I helped him sit up and saw his shirt was torn. 3 deep scratches ran diagonally across his back, bleeding freely. The cuts were too perfect, too deliberate, like claw marks. "Oh, God," Charles said. "Oh, God, those are deep." "We need to get him to a hospital," Starling said. "Now, we're leaving." "Yes," I said, my hands shaking as I pressed a cloth to Aurelio's wounds. "Okay, let's go." We half-carried Aurelio to the front door. I grabbed the handle and pulled. It didn't budge. I pulled harder. Nothing. The door wouldn't open. Not locked. It simply wouldn't move, as if it were part of the wall. "Back door!" Charles ran toward the kitchen. We followed, dragging Aurelio with us. Charles reached the back door, twisted the handle, pulled it open, and we were staring at the same hallway we'd just left. "No," Charles whispered. "No, this is the back door. This should lead outside." I ran to a window and tried to force it open. Sealed. I grabbed a chair and swung it at the glass. The chair bounced off like I'd hit steel. The window didn't even crack. "We're trapped," Starling said, her voice breaking. "It won't let us leave." "This can't be real," I said, but my voice sounded hollow even to me. "There has to be an explanation. The doors are jammed. The windows are—" "The explanation is we're in danger and you won't listen," Starling screamed at me. "You brought us here on October 13th into a place that's killed 3 people. And now Aurelio is hurt and we can't get out because you had to have your proof." "I didn't know." "You didn't care to know. You never do." "Stop it," Aurelio groaned from the floor. "Both of you, stop." Charles was frantically flipping through his notes, the pages scattered around him. "The journal. The journal said the ritual requires willing participation. Don't you see? We came willingly. We entered on October 13th. We're not investigating anymore." He looked up at us, tears streaming down his face. "We're the sacrifice. We're part of it now." The lights went out. In the darkness, we heard breathing, not ours, coming from every direction at once, surrounding us. And then, from somewhere in that darkness, my own voice whispered, "Help me. It won't let me leave." But I wasn't speaking.
We dragged Aurelio into the kitchen and barricaded the door with everything we could move. The kitchen felt different, less hostile, like the malevolence hadn't fully saturated this room yet. "Call 911, I said, fumbling for my phone. No signal. I watched in horror as my battery drained from 87% to 0 in seconds. The screen went black. "Mine too," Charles said. "It's dead." "All of ours," Starling confirmed. Aurelio, pale and sweating, managed to pull up his camera footage. "Look at this," he said weakly. "The entity. It's in every shot." He played the footage chronologically. In the first video from the basement, a shadow stood in the far corner. In the next, it was closer. Kitchen footage, closer still. Living room, it was 10 feet away. Bedroom, 5 feet. The most recent footage, from the hallway right before Aurelio was attacked, made my blood freeze. The entity was standing directly behind us, so close it could have touched us. Its face, if you could call it that, was inches from the back of Aurelio's head. "We never saw it," Charles whispered. "It was right there, and we never saw it." Starling suddenly gasped and grabbed the counter. Her eyes rolled back. "Star?" I reached for her. "I can see them," she said, her voice distant. "The others, the 3 who died. I can see their final moments." Tears streamed down her face. "They're showing me. They tried to leave. They ran for the doors. They begged. They screamed. And it killed them slowly. It fed on their terror for hours." "Stop," Charles said, rocking back and forth in the corner. "Stop talking. Stop talking. Stop talking." He was unraveling, mumbling to himself, pulling at his hair. Aurelio's paranoia was worse. "What if one of us isn't real?" he said, his eyes darting between us. "What if it's already inside one of us, wearing our face? How would we know?" "Aurelio, stop! How would we know?" My audio recorder suddenly crackled to life on the counter. I hadn't turned it on. Through the static came a voice, clear, deliberate, not human. "1 stays, 3 go. Choose." We all froze. "1 stays, 3 go. Choose." The recorder played it again and again. "Choose, choose, choose." I felt something shift in my mind, a thought that didn't feel like mine. "Maybe it's right," I heard myself say. "Maybe if one of us stays, the others can leave." "What?" Starling stared at me. "We could draw straws. Someone has to—" "That's it talking through you!" Starling grabbed my shoulders. "Don't you see? It's turning us against each other. That's what it does." But the thought was growing stronger, logical, necessary. "If 1 stays, 3 survive. It's simple math." "Val, listen to yourself." She shook me hard. "This isn't you." Charles was still rocking. Aurelio was watching us with wild eyes, his hand gripping a kitchen knife I hadn't seen him pick up. "We all go or none of us go," Starling said firmly. "Do you hear me? All of us." The lights flickered. "Choose," the voice said again, but this time it wasn't coming from the recorder. It was coming from the walls, the floor, the ceiling, everywhere at once. "Choose." Charles suddenly stopped rocking. He stood up, his face blank, and walked toward the door we'd barricaded. "Charles," I said, "what are you doing?" He started moving the furniture aside, methodically, mechanically. "Charles, stop!" He opened the door and stepped into the dark hallway. We heard him say, in a voice that wasn't quite his, "I choose. I stay." The door slammed shut behind him, and Charles started screaming.
"Charles!" I threw myself at the door, but it wouldn't budge. His screams echoed through the house, getting farther away, deeper into the darkness. Then they stopped. "We have to find another way out," Starling said, her voice steady despite the tears on her face. "Now!" We searched frantically. Every window we'd tried before was still sealed, but now they were cracking, spiderwebs spreading across the glass from the inside, like the house was trying to keep us in. "The first basement," Aurelio said, clutching his injured back. "There was a coal chute. I saw it." We ran, down the stairs, past the symbols on the walls, past the glowing sigil. The coal chute was tiny, rusted, terrifying, but it was open. "Go!" I pushed Starling toward it. She squeezed through, dropped into darkness. Aurelio went next, crying out in pain as he scraped his wounds against metal. I was crawling through when I felt it, hands grabbing my ankles, ice cold, pulling me back. "Val!" Starling's voice from outside. I kicked violently, felt something release, and tumbled out onto frozen ground. We ran through the woods, branches tearing at our clothes.
Behind us, the farmhouse blazed with light in every window. Shadows moved across them, dozens of shadows, all different shapes, all watching us flee. The church appeared through the trees like salvation, abandoned, Gothic, but standing. The door was locked. I didn't care. I smashed a window with a rock, and we climbed through. The atmosphere changed instantly. The oppressive weight lifted. The air felt clean, safe. "It can't follow us here," Starling breathed. "Holy ground." We found stairs leading to a basement office. Dust-covered filing cabinets lined the walls. Aurelio found the records from 1923, a priest's journal with a black cross burned into the cover. I read aloud, my hands shaking. October 13th, 1923. Attempted exorcism of Thomas Whitmore at the farmhouse. He was summoning something ancient, something that predates Christianity, predates this land. He wanted immortality. I flipped pages. The exorcism failed. Whitmore killed himself mid-ritual, completing the summoning. His death opened the doorway permanently. The entity now has anchor in our world. The final entry was underlined 3 times. The only way to close the door is to destroy the sigil in the basement, but it must be destroyed by someone who entered willingly, and whoever does it will face the entity alone. They may not survive. Silence filled the church basement. "I'll do it," I said quietly. "Val, no!" Starling started. "I brought us here. I ignored every warning. Charles is gone because of me." My voice cracked. "This is my fault. I have to go back." "You'll die," Aurelio said flatly. "Maybe, but if I don't, none of us are getting out of here. It's 11:30. We have 30 minutes until midnight, until the anniversary is complete." I looked at each of them. "If I don't destroy that sigil tonight, it'll be strong enough to spread beyond the farmhouse. You read the journal. It's been feeding on investigators for a century. It's almost ready." Starling grabbed my hand. "I can sense your brother. He's here. He's been here this whole time. He wants you to know he forgives you for not believing him, and he's proud you finally believe now." I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. "Don't do this," she said. "I have to." I stood, gathered what equipment still worked, and walked toward the church door. Behind me, Aurelio called out, "Val, document everything. If you don't make it, the world needs to know what's in that house." I nodded and stepped out into the night. The farmhouse waited for me, blazing with impossible light, and as I walked toward it, I heard Charles's voice drifting through the trees. "Val, come back. I'm still here. I'm waiting for you." But Charles's voice was coming from inside the farmhouse, and it didn't sound like Charles anymore.
The walk back to the farmhouse was the longest of my life. Every step felt wrong, every shadow moved. The woods were silent, no insects, no wind, nothing alive. The front door opened before I touched it, welcoming me. Inside, the house had changed. The hallways stretched longer than possible. Doors that hadn't existed before lined the walls, and in every room I passed, I saw him, my brother. Standing in the kitchen, 13 years old, the age he was when he died. "You didn't believe me, Val. I told you I saw things. You called me crazy." I kept walking, tears blurring my vision. In the living room, another vision, my brother older, the age he would be now. "We could have done this together, you and me, proving the paranormal is real. We could have been famous." "You're not real," I whispered. The basement stairs descended into absolute darkness. I forced myself down, step by step. The temperature dropped with each footfall. My breath came out in frozen clouds. The sigil was pulsing now, bright red, the heartbeat of something monstrous. Around it, carved into the stone, were the words from the priest's journal, the destruction ritual. I knelt and began speaking the words. The entity manifested.
I can't describe what I saw. My mind couldn't process it. Shapes that shouldn't exist, angles that bent reality, eyes, so many eyes, all focused on me with ancient, malevolent intelligence. Terror locked my muscles. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. It spoke without words, directly into my mind. Stop. I kept reading the ritual. Something invisible grabbed me and hurled me across the basement. My back slammed into stone. Pain exploded through my ribs. I crawled back to the sigil, resumed the ritual. Hands, freezing and strong, wrapped around my throat. I was lifted off the ground, choking, my feet kicking uselessly. The entity's voice filled my skull. Keep the sigil. I will give you everything. Power beyond measure. Knowledge of the universe. Your brother. I can bring him back. Really back. Not a vision. Flesh and blood. I saw it then. My brother, alive, smiling, reaching for me. All you have to do is stop. Leave the sigil intact. Feed me, others, and he is yours. My vision was darkening. I was dying. But I looked closer at my brother's vision. His smile was wrong, too wide. His eyes were black pits, and from his mouth came a sound like grinding bones. He was screaming. Some doors, I choked out, need to stay closed. I used the last of my strength to touch the sigil and speak the final words of the ritual. The entity shrieked, a sound that shattered every piece of glass in the house. The hands released my throat. I fell, gasping, as cracks spread across the sigil like lightning. The basement began to shake. Stone crumbled. The entity's form twisted, collapsing inward, being pulled back through whatever doorway it had come from. But as it vanished, I heard its final words in my mind. You closed one door, Val, but I opened so many others, and they're all still open. The sigil shattered with a deafening crack. Supernatural energy exploded outward, and the farmhouse began to collapse around me. I ran for the stairs as the ceiling caved in behind me, through the kitchen as walls buckled, toward the front door as the entire structure groaned and twisted. I burst outside just as the farmhouse imploded, folding in on itself like it had never existed. Starling, Aurelio, and someone else were running toward me from the church. Someone else. Charles, stumbling, covered in dirt and blood, but alive. I got out, he gasped. When you destroyed the sigil, it let me go. We ran to the car and drove. We didn't stop driving until the sun came up 3 states away. But in the rearview mirror, as dawn broke, I saw something that made my blood freeze. In the back seat, reflected in the mirror, but not actually there, sat a shadow figure. And it was smiling.
We didn't speak for the first 100 miles. Charles sat in back, catatonic, staring at nothing. Aurelio pressed gauze to his wounds. Starling held my hand so tight it hurt. None of us looked back until we crossed the state line. When we finally stopped at a motel 3 states away, the sun was rising. We were alive, somehow. Days later, in the safety of my apartment, we reviewed the footage. Everything after the timestamp anomaly was corrupted, static, distortion, unusable. Hours of investigation reduced to white noise and fractured images. Except one file. The audio recording from the beginning, my voice from the future, clear as day. Help me, it won't let me leave. How is this still here? Aurelio asked. Everything else is destroyed. We had no answer, no proof, no evidence, just our testimony and the scars on Aurelio's back. 3 deep scratches that would never fully heal. I pulled up a news article on my laptop. Listen to this.
Mysterious fire destroys abandoned Iowa farmhouse. Authorities baffled by spontaneous combustion. No accelerants found. Structure burned to foundation in minutes. The farmhouse was gone, erased. I turned to the camera, the one still recording, the one that would share this story. "We went looking for proof," I said, my voice hollow. "We wanted to capture evidence of the paranormal, to show the world that the unexplained is real. We found something worse, questions we can never answer, truths that can't be proven, and something that won't let us forget." I paused, the weight of everything crushing down. "Some things aren't meant to be proven. We barely made it out alive, and I'm not sure we really did." Charles hadn't spoken in 3 days. Aurelio flinched at every shadow. Starling couldn't sleep without lights on. And me? I saw my brother in every reflection, heard his voice in every quiet moment. We were changed, traumatized. The easy confidence I'd carried into that farmhouse was gone, replaced by something heavier, humility mixed with dread. "We're taking a break from investigations," I said to the camera, "maybe permanently." I was about to turn off the recording when Charles suddenly spoke. "Hey Val, can you look at something?" He'd been reviewing the church footage frame by frame on his laptop. His face had gone pale. "What is it?" "Just look." I walked over. He clicked through the images slowly. Footage from when we'd found the priest's journals, then from when we'd said goodbye before I left. In every single frame, barely visible in the background, was a shadow figure. "It was at the church," Charles whispered. "It followed us to holy ground." He clicked to the final frame, footage from 20 seconds ago, here in my apartment. The shadow figure stood directly behind where I was sitting now. My blood turned to ice. "Val," Starling said, her voice shaking, "don't turn around." But I did. I turned around slowly. The room was empty, but in the laptop screen's reflection, I could see it standing right behind me, close enough to touch. And this time, it wasn't alone. There were 3 of them now, one behind each of us. The screen went black. End card text appears. 3 weeks after this investigation, Val, Starling, Aurelio, and Charles have all reported ongoing paranormal activity in their homes. Objects moving, voices in the dark, shadow figures that appear in mirrors and photographs. The entity's connection appears to be permanent. They closed the door at the farmhouse, but something followed them home. Final audio, faint whispering in the static. 1 stays, 3 go, but all 4 came back, and now we're inside all of them.